Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Really glad to be here today. We're making so much progress on the Ethics Commission, and there's a lot of people to thank on this, but I want to say that this would not have happened without thousands of Rhode Islanders pushing for this, so many Rhode Islanders treat this issue as important and have cared about it and have helped make this go forward. So this is something that everybody deserves credit for, but of course there are individuals who deserve credit. Speaker Mattiello, John Marion has done, at a different level, has done a lot in the last couple of weeks and also for many years on the Ethics Commission, and other people have explained how much they've done earlier today. So I'm here to testify on both bills. I'm in support of both bills, 7577 I've supported in the past, and I'm also supporting H8189, the new bill, and I understand that 8189 is still subject to revision, and that's something that a lot of people have talked about in their testimony today and have suggested revisions for it. I think that's a healthy process. I also want to say I welcome Speaker Mattiello's comments. Speaker Mattiello said when he was discussing the moratorium, he spoke about it, this whole issue in deferential terms, and he said that or I don't know if deferential is the right word, but he spoke about it in a good way and said for a moratorium, he just said he didn't know any better way of dealing with these problems than to have a moratorium, and I appreciate the implicit openness in that, and it's good that we're going through this process of discussion. That's what this hearing is for. We've all heard that there's a number of suggested changes people have made about how to better accomplish the goals of this legislation, there seem to be some areas where the good government people have a consensus. May not be what the current text of 8189 says, but I understand it's subject to negotiation and we are getting there, and so that's a good thing. I do support the suggested changes that people have made, such as removing the right to such as restoring the Ethics Commission's right to remove people from office who have committed serious wrongdoing. I think that should be restored, and I support the other changes people made. I want to speak particularly about the issue of the moratorium, because the moratorium is a key issue. The one thing I've heard people insisting on most is the moratorium should not be in the Constitution, and people have other changes suggesting it. But let me just say about the moratorium. The moratorium is something that cuts both ways. On the one hand, we do have some politically motivated complaints that are being made. When I heard about those statistics that there were more complaints in the 2 months before the election, I was thinking, is that because people do more unethical acts during the election? But no, that's not really it. That's just a joke. The moratorium. The moratorium might slightly discourage people from submitting complaints just to make a political point. It doesn't have much effect in that respect because a candidate can just say, I'm going to submit an ethics complaint when it's legal for me to do so, and they can say that during the election. They can still publicize their complaints. So it doesn't work all that well in that respect. But the other thing about the moratorium is it cuts both ways. It doesn't just apply to the unjustified, politically motivated complaints. It applies to the good ones. It doesn't just apply to the third-party complaints. It applies to the complaints that the Ethics Commission is putting forward. And what it does is it denies voters the right to know. It denies voters the right to know that this complaint is being submitted. And so we have a trade-off. I mean, should we try to have this blackout and not let the committee take the complaints so as to deprive politically motivated complaints of some publicity, or should we respect voters' right to know and just let it all happen transparently, which is the way the Ethics Commission has traditionally worked? I personally feel that voters' right to know should be more important, and just one way to see that is what does the media do? When the media receives complaints about a candidate, they don't impose a blackout on reporting complaints in the media just because it's close to an election, and we wouldn't want them to do that. The media feels, and rightly, that when there's allegations about a candidate, that the voters' right to know trumps the risk that some of those allegations might have been politically motivated. motivated. So that's my point of view on this. But I would personally defer to the Ethics Commission. I think the Ethics Commission is the body that's best placed to decide whether there should be a moratorium or not. And the reason for that is what we heard before in testimony, that the legislature has a conflict of interest. On issues where the legislature has a conflict of interest and the Ethics Commission has the authority to decide, it's better to let the Ethics Commission decide that. And so the Ethics Commission doesn't have a stake one way or another, particularly in whether these complaints are received before the election, but for legislators, it may affect whether they keep their jobs. So I think it's better for the Ethics Commission to make that decision. And it's particularly important to respect voters' right to know during election period, because that's the one time when voters have something like an ability to hold people accountable if they do something wrong. So that's my point of view on this. But I'm glad this process is being negotiated. I think we've already made a lot of progress, and we can work on this still. And after that, hopefully, this will be past the legislature and go to the voters. I hope this bill won't be made worse. If it gets worse, that will be a serious problem. And I hope that the changes that people have recommended will be adopted. But ultimately, it will be in the hands of the voters. And if voters do decide to vote this down, that will be because the voters feel that this did not go far enough in respecting ethics. So that's another reason why it's important to make the changes that people have been recommending, because that increases the chances that voters will support it. If voters do vote it down, then voters will keep on pressing for this change to be made until it's made in the way that they like. So I hope this bill passes. I think it's has taken some good steps, and I hope it continues to be improved. Thank you.